In this lesson, we're going to be talking about writing mathematical functions. So what are mathematical functions? Mathematical functions are functions that involve several numeric parameters coming into the function, and it's going to do some type of an operation and return a numeric result. So when you're doing this, keep in mind that you want to have something that returns a number. So remember we talked about void functions before, a function that doesn't return anything. You want to avoid those because those will cause you trouble. That's not going to be a mathematical function. So you can use these functions, mathematical functions, in parts as expressions. So if you're defining, let's say, a variable is equal to, let's say, you want to give it the value of a square of a number, you can call a function that squares that and say, let's say your variable is a. You can say a equals square of another thing. So you can use that as the expression. So I'll show an example of that in just a second. But we also talk about modularity here. In this section, modularity basically allows you to use complex functions that are broken down into simpler functions. So you have a larger function that does a larger calculation that, as its pieces, uses small, simpler functions. So let me show you an example of that. So I'm going to share my screen with VS Code. And if we look here, I've created the area of a circle, basically. So everybody remembers pi r square. So we've got pi r square essentially here. What I've done is I've set up a function to do square. So we've got the definition square. It takes in a number, the number is square, and we're returning essentially the number to the second power. Then we have the function area of a circle. It's taking the radius, and we know we're just defining pi inside as 3.14. So we're going to return pi r squared, which is going to be pi times, and here's where we're using it as an expression. So we're saying square, which is going to call our square function up here, and we're sending it radius. So note how we're using, as we said, modularity here. We've got this little part as part of our expression here. So we've got square returning whatever numerical value comes back from there, and then we have pi times that numeric result. And it's going to return that from area of circle, and that's going to be over here. So if we set our radius to 10 and we execute this, we should get something like, there's that going to be 314. Yeah. So as we make this larger, our number gets much larger. Run it again, 31,400. We make it smaller. This should be, no surprise, 3.14. So this is what we talked about. These are mathematical functions here. They take in numbers as their parameters, and they return numeric values. And this is showing off that thing that I talked about, the modularity, in that we can call on other parts that return other numeric values, or we call on other functions that return numeric values. So that's essentially what this section is about. If you have any questions about the terminology here, there's not a lot to really see here. Numeric functions, again, mathematical functions, are simply functions that are taking in numbers as their arguments, their parameters, and they're returning a numeric value. And we say that they're modular in the sense that you can take complex things like the calculation of the area of the circle, and you can use those smaller functions as expressions within that larger complex function. So that's all there is here. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out and ask or send me an email, and I will be happy to help you understand it. We can set up a Zoom meeting or whatever. But other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.